Let's move on now. It's time to take a look at stories making headlines across papers in Nigeria. I have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist Dotun Ojon and political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
And thank God it's Monday.
Yes, and thank God you are back because Dr. Kayode has been bullying me.
Anyway, me, I want to pick you up.
I am your advocate now. Don't worry, I'm back now.
I want to pick you up on strong government policy.
Well, the point there is that's in Zimbabwe. Well,
what do we have here?
We have strong government
no,
policy.
we're talking of Zimbabwe, so let's leave the others. All right, let's head into the papers now. Nigerian News Direct is where we start from right now. Sowore is a person of interest to DSS, that's the presidency, saying that's on the front page of the News Direct. The blueprint is next, and it says, please don't reopen borders. Refund begs federal government. That's the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. Those against closure, not true Nigerians. We can meet rice demand at Xmas. That's rice millers saying that. And consumers thumb down local commodity rebagging. Okay, I guess this will interest my guest for us to talk about this shortly. Let's move on now to Daily Trust. Fuel subsidy gobs 1.5 trillion naira. Whoa, okay. That's the Daily Trust. Vanguard is where we go next. Showor's rearrest. Respect rule of law. U.S. tells federal government. And presidency backs DSS. Says no government will condone open call for destabilization. A DSS operative apologized to Justice Ojukwu for invading court. Falano. And lawyers in Kaduna lambasted DSS for invading court. You find all that on the front page of the Vanguard. The Guardian is where we go next now. The Guardian says government under fire for withholding unemployment data from public. And MBS blames poor funding for the delay. And its plot to lie to Nigerians, says NECA and ULC. And unemployment situation has worsened. These are all quotations, and you see them on the front page of The Guardian. The Nation is where we go next. The Nation is still on Sowore. Sage others kick as presidency defends DSS. Okay, the issues are still on, back and forth. The Sun newspaper is the last one we're looking at now, and it says presidency, governors, others face fresh hurdle on election. Ongoing constitution amendment may alter educational qualification. Okay, now that's another debate that is maybe waiting to happen somehow when it comes to all of this, but it's really interesting. Now, gentlemen, the issue on the Blueprint newspaper, please don't reopen borders. Refund begs federal government. We had the president of the Poultry Association earlier on, and he lent his voice in the same direction, that if government can keep it this way, it's quite interesting. But there is a complaint of meeting demand. The demand is still very high. Local producers are not meeting the demand and all of that. Doctor, I wonder how this paradox or this irony comes to you.
Yes, when it's basic economics that if supply is actually lower than demand, the price will actually increase. But in Nigeria, it's not usually like that. It is not usually the subject, our price increase in Nigeria is not usually a subject of gap between supply and demand. It's just divination of wickedness. Yes, you will see that. Why is it that every Christmas, prices of commodities will always go up? Is it scarcity? It's not scarcity.
Maybe it's demand.
It's just, it's not
increased demand.
Not necessarily demand.
Okay.
I did that research during the last Christmas, the Muslim celebration, the last one. And I discovered that there were rams everywhere. There was not the demand. In fact,
people were not even buying.
Okay. But we just deliberately, because we want to make gain, because of our wickedness, we just skyrocket, push up everything and hoard in some cases. So our problem in Nigeria, you see, when we solve the problem of self, we solve the problem of the society. On the issue of whether the local producers will be able to meet up with demand, they will be able to meet up. I am certain about that. Because the problem that Nigerians are facing now is not just even the problem of rice. The scarcity of funds in the pocket of an average Nigerian already. So the number of people either rice is 15,000 or 20,000. The majority of people will not even be able to buy. You may think it is not like that because you are not close to people. But in reality, just this yesterday, I see how somebody come to me in church and was looking for 100 naira to feed the family. So it's that bad. So if border closure will solve the problem, because I gave you an analysis of why our life expectancy is very low. It's not a product of what government did not do alone. Most of the time, it's a product, it's as a result of what we eat. Majority of the turkey that they import into the country are poisonous. And you eat it, and they put the life expectancy of an average Nigerian at 54.
And many Nigerians like chicken.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Kayode, a lot of people still feel that closing the border outrightly is not a 21st century economic.
That's where I was. You always read my mind. I don't know why. That's where I was.
I have this glass that reads through the mind.
You see, that's where I was coming to. When you're talking of border closure, why are you closing the border? Is it a 21st century solution?
Economic strategy.
Do you understand? And even when you're talking about protectionist policy, is border closure the essentialities of protectionist policy? I don't think so. There are other things that you can do. When you say, okay, people are taking your petroleum product outside the country because of that, is doing this and all that. You remember the other time we were talking about this particular machine that can be used to gauge the kind of the amount of fuel you are dispelling out, and now you are using and all that. Look at how much money was being spent on that thing. Where is that machine now? Do you understand? So there are some other things we can do.
But shouldn't Nigerians be happy now? Because local producers of rice, local producers of poultry farmers and all, they are all saying government is on the right track.
You see, there is no doubt about it. Some of them will be happy. But then let me also ask you, how about those people into hides and skin? They're also complaining. Pharmaceuticals, they are also complaining because they cannot take this thing out. But then all we now need to look at is what are the cost benefits analysis of this border closure.
Yes, I'm afraid.
Then what are other policies available for instead of closing the borders?
Okay, I'm afraid we have to round it off here because of time. Dr. Dayo Kayode, thank you so much for your analysis. It's really interesting. Dr. Ojon, thank you very much. I'm back now. Nobody's going to intimidate you again.
I stopped wearing that your spike shoe. You cannot puncture my tires.
All right.
I have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist Dotun Ojon and political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming on
Happy
TVC
Monday,
Breakfast. All right, we head straight to the papers now, and I begin with Nigeria News Direct. Sowore is a person of interest to DSS-Presidency. And on the front page of the blueprint, please don't reopen borders. Refund begs federal government. Those against closure are not true Nigerians. We can meet rice demands at Christmas. Millers. Consumers thumb down local commodity rebagging. And on the front page of the Daily Trust, fuel subsidy gulps 1.5 trillion naira, surpasses health, education and agriculture budgets, overshoots by 78 billion naira in 2019. And to the front page of the Vanguard now, Sowore's rearrest, respect rule of law, U.S. tells federal government. Presidency backs DSS, says no government will condone open call for destabilization. DSS operative apologized to Justice Ojukwu for invading court. Falana. Lawyers in Kaduna lambasted DSS for invading court. To the Guardian now, government under fire for withholding unemployment data from public. NBS blames poor funding for delay. Its plot to lie to Nigerians, says NECA ULC. Unemployment situation has worsened. And on the front page of the Nation newspaper, Sowore, Sage, others kick as presidency defends DSS. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Sun, President, governors, others face fresh hurdle on election. Ongoing constitution amendment may alter educational qualification. All right, gentlemen, I'm certain you might be interested, or you will be interested in the story on the front page of the Daily Trust saying fuel subsidy gulps 1.5 trillion naira, surpasses health, education, and agric budgets, which are critical to our country. And now fuel subsidy has been shrouded in some sort of controversy, whether we are paying or we are not paying, and all of that has been on for a while now. But then this report obviously is showing that we have spent about 1.5 trillion naira since 2015 for fuel subsidy. And there is the probability, according to the report, that we will be spending about 430 billion naira in subsidy by the year 2020. Let's get your reaction. I'll start with you, Dr. Dayo Kayode.
Veronica.
Let me respond like a village girl.
Sometimes I wonder why successive governments in this country cannot just solve this problem. I want somebody that will be able to fault my own research. That a modular refinery can actually be built within 6 months with less than $75 million. And that's the truth.
We have always talked about building modular refineries.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, why are we always... Look at it. 1.5, not even million, not even billion. Trillion.
Since 2015.
So tell me if we have such a money, why haven't we invested it in modular refinery? What is wrong with us as a people? Probably we should educate ourselves on this concept of
subsidy payment.
No, not even subsidy payment. This concept of loyalty and patriotism.
Where does that come in this mix?
I will tell you, all this, check all our leaders. Check all our leaders. They have their own loyalty to other countries because they also have citizenship of other countries. So based on that, they will be patriotic towards Nigeria.
That is why we are paying so much.
That is why we are having all these economic issues. Look at Zimbabwe, just now from your news. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at the president of the Senate. Look at what they said president of the Senate just passed. How to do business easily in Zimbabwe. And look at the product. $20 billion beverage factory. Look at how big that factory is. But look at all our factories there. The money that they're supposed to have used in ensuring that all these factories are working, they just put it inside private pockets. If our refineries are working, the 4 refineries are working, will we be paying this subsidy? No.
Of course we
But
wouldn't.
because they know that without that importation, and that is why you even see them when they are in government.
That is going to the pockets
what they do is to build roads.
Is that what you're saying?
You say what?
It's getting to the pockets of some persons in government. That's what you're saying.
Is that not what is happening?
All right.
Is that not what? Have you not been seeing it?
Dotun, let's get
Is the truth now?
Dotun's reaction to this now.
Yeah.
And he asked the question, why is it so difficult to solve this problem of subsidy payment?
2 things. The first one is corruption. The second one is traditionalism. Corruption because we have a lot of people in the process, not necessarily politicians. We have a lot of people in the process of subsidy payment that are benefiting. So they will do everything possible to frustrate any plan if we do not have a technical leader. Traditionalism, in the sense that we always have a way of doing things, and you can't continue to do something in the old familiar way and expect a fantastic result. You see, the sector will always be problematic because our life, our essence as Nigerian is built around the sector. And this is what I mean. Everything in Nigeria depends on petrol. If you get home now, you need petrol to power your generator.
Of course.
If the power sector is working effectively, that will reduce. For you to get from your house to the office, you need petrol. It will have been better if our transport system is working well. I would not have had any reason to drive or to do anything this morning if I'm sure that if I get to their BRT, the one they have been making noise about, that if I get there within 10 minutes, I'm going to see a bus that's going to convey me here, or if the train system is actually working effectively. So the failure over time has put burden on the petroleum sector. Now we have 4 refineries that have the capacity of producing about 550,000 barrels per day that can refine that capacity. They are not working. If those refineries had been in good shape, what we'll be talking or thinking about now is how to export to neighboring countries. Unfortunately, the businessman has hijacked government in Nigeria. And this is what I mean. Usually, this is what we have. We have businessmen going to lobby in government. Oh, I want this, I want that. But once you have businessmen controlling government, you have an issue, because this is what they will paint to you. They will paint to you that government business is nobody's business, that's not going to work, so that you continue to patronize them. In the process, there's nothing that government will do that will succeed. And that's where we are in Nigeria now. You see that majority of those people that are putting down money on election days are businessmen. And once those we call politicians assume power, of course they want to seek return. How do they seek this return? They seek return in the area of business. That is why nobody is talking about banning generator, for God's sake. But you and I know that if we ban generator, the impact on the society, importation, if you ban the importation today and we make it total, that Aso Rock will not use generator. I tell you, in the next 4 weeks, 4 weeks is too much
for how long
for the
can
power
we continue
sector
to carry this burden?
You see,
next year, it is assumed that we'll be spending over 430 billion naira.
You see, and that's what I'm saying.
And we have a revenue generation problem.
This one that Dotun is saying is about technical leader. Technical leader doesn't solve this problem. What we solve the problem is let Nigerians know that a modular refinery can be built in 6 months. A modular refinery can be built with so much amount of money. Let us stop wasting this money. Let us all tell them, we don't want all this importation again. Listen, if we are processing our this thing here with all our refineries, there are other 15 derivatives when you crack your crude oil.
Absolutely.
What are they bringing to us? What are they bringing to us? Veronica,
benefit from
only petrol, kerosene, diesel, and KPO. What do they call it? Black oil. Where are the other derivatives over there? Who are the people using them? And these are things that we can use to kickstart our petrochemical industry and some other industries, whereby it can employ nothing less than 75% of people that are unemployed today. And they be gainfully employed.
Yeah, you see,
so why are we just like this as a people? Always now talking about, you want to ban people that are talking on the social media,
to support you quickly on that.
Gagging the press.
To support you quickly on that, I want to tell you that the government is aware. In fact, I think between 2015 and 2016, there were a lot of this thing that were given out approval for modular refineries.
About 38 of them.
Unfortunately, in 2016, the Vice President, represented by the then Attorney General, the Attorney General of the Federation, said that the nation is saving 15.4 billion naira monthly as a result of cancellation of subsidy. So if at that point in time we were gaining, and suddenly they didn't tell Nigeria when we started paying again and losing, it's something to ask questions about.
Wow, really critical question there. Thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution on the newspaper review this morning.